My name is Ray Piloto. I'm retired now. I used to have a boat and car repair business. A few of them actually, and years ago I closed them. But because of my love and passion for the cars and boats, I still have my shop. I don't use it to work, but I have my toys here. And when I was a kid, I always had a passion for mainly fixing stuff or taking stuff apart and putting it back together. I was always curious about how things work. So if anything would break in my house, I would ask my mom to give it to me, and I guess that's how I really started getting into everything. And years after, when I was a little older, starting the bicycles, and I had my first car when I was 14, so I couldn't drive it, but my dad let me bought one. I bought an old Trans Am, and I just kind of play with it, fix it up, and I always had this thing to make things go faster. Like even my bicycle, when I had a bicycle, I started, trying to make it faster than my friends. And, I had a small Boston Whaler, and I had, kind of the same issue. All my friends had Boston Whalers too, but their boats had bigger motors and they were faster than mine. I had to make it faster, so I started doing stuff to it, and I got it to be faster than their boats too. So that kind of got me into that line that I love to make things faster, and my friends started knowing me for that. So anytime that they needed something souped up, like we said, they would look for me to do it. Since I was very little, I told you that I used to take things apart and stuff, but my dad, I guess, saw that I had that ability, so he bought me a model car. I did it like in, half an hour, and then, I kind of got an addiction to that. So I used to go to the store and buy them bigger and more complicated all the time. So that's all I wanted to do all the time. So,
what would you say in your life are like the most important things to you?
Well, my family, number one, and I guess make sure that everybody is happy and has everything they need, and friends, after that, and then down the road, my boats and cars, I guess, See, I bought it and I spent like a year and a half working on it before I had it like this.
How many horsepower does this have back here?
600 each.
600 each?
Yep. So we got 1,200.
So you can get this thing airborne.
Oh, this thing flies, so it's 85. Little bar set up here.
Sweet.
And you got there's lights everywhere. I think one had this on. There. All these was these boats here. That was in the St. Lawrence River in the Southern Islands. In business, people think that they're easy to, own and have, but it's not. It's a lot of work. My first business that I had was car and boat repair, and was a pretty big operation. Was in Puerto Rico, and I opened it in 1987. And in the fall of '89, we had a hurricane there. It was Hurricane Hugo, and pretty much took away everything that I had. So I was left with nothing, and that's when I decided to move to the States. I moved to upstate New York with $500 in my pocket, my little Craftsman toolbox, and at the time, my wife and my daughter, Melanie, which she was about 5 years old at the time. And I just went there and had to start there from scratch. I didn't even speak English. That was a big thing for me too. And it was a little hard for me to get my first job because everywhere that I went to, my language was an issue. Upstate New York, there's not a lot of people that speak Spanish, So my first job that I got, what I had to do was I went to a Porsche. It was a Porsche, BMW, and Audi dealer. And I walk in and asked to speak with the service manager. It was hard to even try to say that, And the service manager was a German guy, very nice person. Well, I was leaving his office just, bummed down because I couldn't get a job, and the owner of the place happened to be walking in, and he was from Venezuela. so he spoke Spanish. I still wanted to show them what I could do, so I was ready to leave, and I turned around and said, listen, let me work for you for 2 weeks. I don't want you to pay me anything. I just want to show you what I can do. And it's after those 2 weeks you decide that you cannot hire me, you don't want to hire me. I just walk away, and then maybe I'll come back in the spring. So I think it was a Friday, and he told me, come back on Monday and bring some of your tools, and we'll set you up in a corner here, and we put you to work with one of the guys and see, how you do. So I came Monday, start working with one of the guys there in the car. Comes Friday, and Mario, which was the owner, comes over and he hands me an envelope. He said, here's your check for the week, and you're not going anywhere. You're staying here working with us. So that for me was pretty, strong. I worked a total of 24, 25 years with this company, and I became their main master Porsche technician, Audi technician. I had some training in BMW and Mercedes too. 2010, by then I had my own business. I decided to go back to owning my own place, and I had it for a few years. I decided to downsize a little bit, and I put a shop behind my house. I built a building there and started working from there, and I did that for close to 10 years until year 2000, when I had 2 heart attacks, and that put me out for a good year and a half that I couldn't really do much. I kind of sneak out and was working in a project that I had in my shop there. So when Amy used to go to work, I used to sneak out to my shop and get back in the house before she came home. So that's how I finished that car. After that, we moved here to Florida in 2013. So I opened a small shop here that I was going to start doing mainly boats, because so many boats out here, and it was something that I could do at my own pace without, people that have the boats are more patient than a car you need every day. The boat you don't. So, and that first month that I had my shop, I was doing a big job in a local marina, and I was working in a boat that was about 10 feet off the ground. I had to carry some parts up and put them in the swing platform, and when I was passing from the swing platform into the boat, there's a seat on the back that had a handle on it, so I grabbed that, and when I tried to pull myself on it, the seal was all rotted, and it broke off, and I flew out of the boat and fell on the ground, and got on the ground like I was unconscious, I think, for a few minutes. I kind of opened up my eyes, and I started, looking around for help, but it was about 6 in the afternoon. Everybody was gone. So I got up after struggling a little bit with breathing and everything, and load up my vehicle with all the parts and tools that I had out there, and start driving home. I tried to get back to work that week, and I couldn't. The pain in my back and my shoulder, and my whole shoulder and my chest started turning purple. So I figured out I really need to go to the doctor and see what's going on. So I went to my doctor and told her what happened, and she sent me out to have an MRI on my back and my shoulder. I had 2 fractured discs on my back, and she told me, Ray, you have to quit working. You cannot work anymore. And I couldn't really process that, I said, how can I not work anymore? I mean, that's what I'm going to do. I need to pay my bills. We need to do stuff, I said, no, you cannot work anymore. You have really bad injury in your back, and it's pinching some nerves. And if it gets any worse, you can get paralyzed from your waist down. So, and then eventually I was going to have the back surgery after they gave me disability. It was scheduled for January of 17, and on December of 16, I had a car accident where I got rear-ended, and ended up with 2 broken discs on my neck, and I had to do surgery on my neck, and obviously they postponed my back surgery. After that, I recovered from that, and I was going to reschedule the back surgery. That was last year, and my knee broke. And I had to end up having and I had to have a knee replaced. That was in last February. So I'm recovering from that. It's doing very good now, and I'm afraid to schedule my back surgery again at this point because I don't know what is going to happen. Yeah. And yeah, that's, I have had my struggle